So today we're going to open up our mystery box, but I need you to ask 5 thick questions about what is inside my mystery box. Baylor?
Is it real?
They are real items, and what we're going to be learning about, they are real. Blake?
Are we going to be looking about them?
We are going to be learning about them. Real? Okay, it is real. Are you ready to see?
A straw. Oh, I know what that's. Oh, I know what we're doing. Yeah. I love it. What is that?
Can you get that for me, Baylor? Thanks.
Looks like
Uh-oh, some are really tiny and they're hiding. Oh, it's kind of sharp. Ouch. Kind of hurt a little bit. Do you know what that is?
A tooth.
It kind of hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
I wonder what all those things in our mystery box could mean when we're learning. But
Say what?
the student will be able to
I will be able to
write
write
an informative
an informative
paragraph.
paragraph.
Turn and talk. What do we need to do to be successful? Yakety yak.
Don't done that.
Give me one thing that we need to do to be successful in order to write an informative paragraph. Evelyn.
Convention.
Perfect. What else, Miss Callie?
Finger spaces.
Okay, so that goes into our conventions. Carson Livingston?
At least 3 facts.
Okay, at least 3 facts. 3 is the least. Now, you know Miss Parks likes for you to do what?
Challenge yourself.
Love it when you challenge yourself. Okay, so we got 3 facts. What else, Miss Allie? Did you lose it? Okay, if it comes back to you, let me know. Jackson?
Conclusion.
We need a conclusion. And then, ooh, we're missing that top part of our hamburger. Ethan?
Introduction.
An introduction. We are going to start talking about something new, friends. Ooh. We are going to be learning all about plant adaptations. Now, we know about the structures of a plant, and we know about the life cycle of a plant. But yesterday in our reading, we noticed that not all plants have the same life cycle. And we also learned that not all seeds have a seed coat. And when we're working in our small groups, when we're working about the rainforest and the tundra and the desert, not all plants look the same. So we're going to watch a quick video that talks all about different plants in different habitats and what makes them different. What does a cactus have to help it survive in its environment? Jackson?
Spikes.
It has spikes. Oh, I remember something from the mystery box, something that poked me and hurt me. What was it? Addison?
It was a toothpick.
A toothpick. So a toothpick has a very similar kind of texture to spines on a cactus. You know, I think we need to dig deeper into our story and learn more about different adaptations for plants. My next word in my story is absorb. My turn, absorb. Your turn.
Absorb.
To absorb means to soak up. So when we hear the word absorb, we're going to pretend that we're holding a sponge and we're soaking up the water. We're not wringing it, we're soaking it up because absorb means to soak up. Absorb means to soak up.
To soak up.
Show me absorb. Good. Show me wilt. Wilt means to go limp.
To go limp.
Good. Show me absorb. Absorb means to soak up.
To soak up.
I'm so excited to read this informational text calls Amazing Plant Powers: How Plants Fly, Fight, Hide, Hunt, and Change the World by Laureen Leedy and Andrew Sugar. Do you have a comment already? What is it?
This book is fiction.
Now, why do you think so? Because Ms. Park said it was an informative text.
Because plants can't fly, plants can't save the world.
Well, it didn't say save the world, but it did say change the world. Maybe we'll have to read more, Ethan, to see if you're right. Welcome to our wild world. I'm Spike E. Pickles, and today's show is all about amazing powers of plants. Can plants fly? Can they fight hungry bugs? Can they change life on Earth? Our green friends have astonishing abilities, as you soon will see. Spike is so handsome. I don't have any powers. Me neither. There's one adaptation that really stuck out to me. It says that there's salt filtering roots in mangrove trees. Now, raise your hand if you've been to the beach before. Okay. Whisper to the people around you, how does salt water taste? Now, I know that all plants need water to survive, but it's saying salt filtering. So if the mangrove tree is sucking up water like every other plant, what do you think it's doing to the salt in the salt water? What do you think that word filtering means? Try to talk. What do you think it means?
I think it means like I think it means like salt out of the salt and it's using it.
Or maybe it's just getting rid of the salt. So there's salt filtering roots. What is that plant doing as it's sucking up the water? What is it getting rid of?
Getting rid of the salt water.
The whole water or just part of the water?
Part of the water.
What part of the water is it getting rid
The
of?
salt and the sand.
Okay, now there could be sand.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it may take the sand and bring it out of the water so there won't be any salt.
Okay, so you're using your previous knowledge of the beach to saying that maybe it's sucking up sand at the same time. Many plants have long roots to reach water deep underground. Wildflowers with a fast life cycle quickly bloom and make seeds after rain falls. So, how does this environment and the plant structures compare to the water environment and their structures? Take a look at the photograph and make a mental image. I feel like we've always kind of asked those higher order thinking questions, but this was really pre-planned. So we started at those basic levels to kind of activate their prior knowledge. There's a diagram of all the structures of the plant, and I was talking to my coworker, and I was like, we can't ask those questions. They're never going to understand this. And I have high expectations for my students. And so she said, no, remember what they did with space. And so I said, okay, how can I make this accessible? How can I ask these questions that will help them to understand what a pistil is, what a stamen is, what a stigma is? And then using my best practices, created an anchor chart. And my kids are talking about pollination like they would be talking about playing outside. It's pretty incredible to see. So I think having those high expectations, asking those deeper level thinking questions, and then making it more open-ended so that they have time to discuss. I think before I would ask questions and then I would get a response and then be kind of like, okay, let's move on. You know, we talk about things from time to time, but now I really give them the opportunity to talk with their partner, and you would be surprised because they're first grade, so you think, oh, they're just gonna be off task the whole time. But they're asking questions, they are using the vocabulary in their discussions, and so just allowing that time for them to sit and process the information and having discussions with their peers. How do those structures compare to these structures and the environment? Turn and talk. What do you see? What do you see? Do they look the same? Okay, what do these plants have? Okay, so they live in water. What about these plants? They live in the desert. We can kind of see that they look like they're desert plants. Now, what do you notice about this plant? Without plants, the land would be nothing but rocks and dirt. I have a connection. Where is that environment? And it's not on Earth. That it's all rocky and dusty and dirty. Well, not necessarily dirty, but it's definitely dusty. And it's barren. And I remember reading that there was this boy and he went there and then he kept looking back at Earth and he missed it so much. So where was that place that he went that he was so sad because Earth was so beautiful? Blow it into your hand if you remember. Release. Moon. Oh my goodness. So if we didn't have plants, it would just be bare rocks and dirt. So plants have the power to make forests and farms, parks and prairies and meadows and marshes and so much more. They provide shade, fresh air, and clean water. They feed and shelter the whole world. So the next time you see a plant, why not say thank you? Swabat.
Say what?
The student will be able to.
I will be able to.
Write.
Write.
An informative.
An informative.
Paragraph.
Paragraph.
Okay, so we have a handy dandy anchor chart to help us today. So plants have lots and lots of adaptations, and we talked about several of them today. Okay, so we talked about in our story that they're always seeking that sunlight. Well, some places have trees that have really tall trunks because they're reaching for the sunlight. What habitat would that be in? Where the trunks are really, really tall because there's so many of them that they're fighting for the sunlight. Joseph?
Rainforest.
Very good, $5. So they also have vines because vines have different kinds of stems, so they climb on the trees in order to get that sunlight. Now, we also have plants that use their adaptations for protection. So cactuses have thorns or spikes. And Bennett, I know you know this one. It's that big flower in the rainforest. And you were talking about it yesterday.
The big stinker?
Yeah. What is it trying to do? Why is it smelly? Well, why do you think it would be smelly?
Because there needs to be something smelly.
There needs to be something smelly.
Because it's called the big stinker.
Well, it's called the big stinker, so that's the name.
Yeah.
Let's think about it this way. Are animals and insects gonna want to go to something that smells bad?
No, but a fly likes the smell of the big stinker.
Oh, okay, so maybe they're the exception. Now, we also know plants have adaptations for things when they're trying to get water, because we know that water is something that they need. So they might have a thick, waxy coating, or they might have above ground roots so they can suck up the water really quickly. These are other plants that we talked about in our story. Sometimes they have adaptations where they eat insects because the soil isn't beneficial for them to grow. And we know that flowers smell pretty and they have pretty colors because they're trying to attract something. What are flowers trying to attract? Rachel?
Bees.
Why do the flowers need bees?
To drink the nectar.
Yeah, they need to drink the nectar, and then they're helping in this process. What are they helping in?
Pollination.
Kiss your brains, you are so smart. So today, in our botanist journal, you are going to be matching a plant to its environment. And then you're going to write an informative paragraph about why that plant can survive in the environment. So, we're going to match the environment and then write about the plant surviving in that environment. Turn and talk. What are we doing today? Put your hands in the air. Wave them around like just don't care. Put your hands in your lap. Put your eyes on me. Okay, so what you're going to do is you have a picture of a plant on one side and you have a picture of an environment on the other side. What you're going to do is you're going to draw a line from the plant that matches its environment. So you're going to draw a line from the plant to the environment. Turn the page. Give me a thumbs up when you got it. Too far, Chloe. After you match the plant to its environment, this is where you're going to start the writing portion. So you're going to have your introduction. Do you know about plants and their environment? So you're going to write at least 3 facts. If you want to write more than 3, you absolutely can write more than 3. And then who can tell me what's the very last thing that we need to have in order to be successful, Ethan? A conclusion. Okay, so Jovi, what's the very first thing that we're going to do? In our writing, yes. Before we do any part of our writing, what are we going to do, Carson Livingston?
We're going to connect the plant to its environment.
Yeah, and after we connect the plant to its environment, Jackson, then what are we going to do?
We're going to write an introduction.
Yeah.
Conclusion.
And then we're going to have 3 facts about the plant and its environment. Okie dokie, artichoke?
Okie dokie, artichoke.
Okay. Independently, let's rock and roll. Can you tell me about the desert? What are some adjectives we can use to describe the desert? Which plant? You can ride that cactus. A lot of our friends are riding that cactus. Okay. Talk it through. What's that's called? Where it's really hot. It's called the desert. Can you say that for me? Desert. You guys did a phenomenal job talking about plants and their environment. And today in shared reading, we're going to be looking at some more plants in their environment. So for just right now, I need you to close up your botanist journals and then tiptoe to the carpet for me, please. They are purposeful and on task. Also, the writing has changed. We're putting together simple sentences. Some might still have a string of letters. And my students can write a paragraph, an informative paragraph on topic with an introduction and a conclusion and supporting details. And I think that amazes people when they look at their work and they see this is a first grader writing it using words like structure and ovules and things like that they've learned in the unit. The student will be able to identify, read, and write, long O, and the ow sound. Before we do that, I think it will help us to start looking at what are some words that say long O, and what are some words that say the ow sound with O-W. So I want you to take a minute to think. So we've got the long O with O-W, and then we've got the O-W ow sound. And sometimes you'll see it look like this because that's what the sound is. So I want you to take a minute to think, what are some words that say ow or O using that O-W? Rachel?
Low.
Okay, is it the long O or is it an ow sound?
Long O.
Long O. Great. What's another word that makes the ow sound or the O sound? Jovi? Down. Let's segment down.
Ow. Down.
Okay, now I heard this. I don't know who's doing it. It makes my heart so sad. Let's clean it up. Clean it up. Clean it up. Clean it up. Get those dirty sounds out. Okay, let's try it again. Ready? Down.
Ow. Down.
Okay, so we've got down. Who can help me spell down? Who can help me spell down? Evelyn, you want to come up here and write the word down? And you have to think about it. Is it an O sound or an ow sound? Pick your color. She's picking green. Down. Let's help her sound it out.
Ow.
Down. Evelyn wrote D-O-W-N. Is she correct?
Yes.
Let's give her a whoop whoop. So, when we read the tiny seed, we're going to be looking for the ow sounds. And as we read, I want you to put those ow and those o sounds in your pocket so that we can add the words to our anchor chart. Thumbs up if you can remember that. Fantastic. So what you're going to do is you're going to silently read or whisper read your words, and then the words that say long O, you're going to write it on that side of the column. And the words that say ow, you're going to write it on that side of the column. Then you're going to pick 2 words. How many words?
2.
So 2 of your favorite words are words that you can read, and then you're going to write 2 sentences using those words. You see a yellow what? Okay, now let's sound out lemon. Blake knows that flower has an O-W, but he looks like he's having a little trouble trying to figure out if it's an ow or an O sound. What do you hear in flower?
Okay, Ellie.
She hears an ow. Do you hear an ow? Do you hear flower? Do you hear that flower sound now? I think talking to our group really helped us understand that ow sound in the word flower. Oh my goodness. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
So today we're going to use what we know about these seeds, and then we're going to look for that ow sound. Okay, tracking fingers out, please. Listen as I read. It is autumn. A strong wind is blowing. It blows flower seeds high in the air and carries them far across the land. One of the seeds is tiny, smaller than any of the others. Will it be able to keep up with the others? And where are they going? So I see words with the O-W in them. Do you see any words with O-W in our story? Let's segment the word flower. So we've got an O-W in that word. Is it making a long O sound, or is it making an ow sound? Turn and talk. What is it making?
I think it's making an
Flower. Good. Blow it into your hand. Is it making an ow sound or a long O sound? Release.
Ow.
It's making the ow sound. Now, I see another word here. This word is blowing. And it doesn't sound like it's making the ow sound. So, ow can actually have 2 sounds. It can say ow or it can say o. So as we're reading today, we're going to be looking for words that say ow and words that say o. Now they
fly over the ocean.
One seed falls into the water and
drowns.
the other
Sail on
with the wind.
But the tiny seed does not go as high as the
look at this word, drowns. What does it mean if something drowns? Baylor, what does it mean if something drowns?
It goes too deep.
Okay, so it goes too deep, and so is it surviving usually? It usually doesn't.
Too much water.
It's too much water. So going back to the sunlight, sometimes there's too much sunlight, and sometimes there's too much water. Let's segment drown for me. Segment drown. Turn and talk. What sound do you hear? Explain your thinking.
I hear owl because
It says it like flowers. Can I use you to call on your thinking? Okay. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
So Bennett made an awesome connection. Bennett, can you explain your connection that you made with our owl sounds? Turn this way, baby, so I can hear you.
In drowns, it's like flowers because you can actually hear the sound.
You can hear that owl sound. So drown, it's got that same O-W owl sound. All right, turn your knees to face the text. Now it is winter.
Now it is winter.
After the long trip,
After their long trip,
the seeds settle down.
the seeds settle down.
They look just as if
They look just as if
they're going to sleep
they're going to sleep
in the earth.
in the earth.
Snow falls
Snow falls
and covers them
and covers them
like a soft white blanket.
like a soft white blanket.
Here it's saying that the seed is almost asleep. Is there another story that we have read where it talks about the seed being asleep? Is there another story where it's talking about the seed being asleep? Baylor?
The sleepy seed.
Yeah, a seed is sleepy. Now, is that really true?
No.
Is a seed actually asleep?
No.
No, because asleep is not a person. It cannot actually do that. It's that use of personification. It's giving that human quality to it. What does it mean that it's asleep? What is affecting its growth? What is this illustration over here that's affecting this seed's growth? Joseph?
The animal about to eat the seed.
Yeah, is that seed ever going to germinate now?
No. It's
No.
gonna be digested.
It's going to be digested by that mouse, absolutely. So the heterogeneous groups really support the whole unit starter. So students are given opportunities to look at the complex texts in the interactive read aloud, the on-level text in the shared reading. We talked about before that the small group text is supporting the standards, and then the heterogeneous grouping in terms of the inquiry with the different biomes helps to support the end of unit task. So all of these pieces together are supporting our students so that they are prepared to complete that end of unit task. And not only just complete the unit task, but they're able to talk about it from now until whenever. They'll be able to not only talk about it and write about it, but educate their peers on it too. So this is where it's really student driven. It's how and what they want to learn about, where the students wanted to learn about different environments. So kind of did a poll and grouped my students based off their interests. And it's amazing to see that these kids of all different abilities are really having the opportunity to shine and ask questions about plants in the tundra or plants in the desert. Each day I would kind of have this big idea or this essential question for the day, and then it would change based off their feedback. Okay, hold your excitement in because we need to review what we were doing with our plant habitat. Oh, I see Chloe's ready to listen. All right, so remember a few days ago, we started way back and we started charting out our learning. We looked in lots of texts and we looked in our technology component where we researched and asked questions, and then we started to write some facts down. But you know what happened? Once we started learning information, I started to wonder more things about those plants. So we needed to go back and ask more questions about those plants and their habitats, like what grasses make flowers? Where are savannas located? So I know that I can get information from text, and I know I can get information from the internet and research, but there's other things that give us information too. Like books give us information, but you know what? This isn't a book, and it's not from the internet. It's a poster, and it has the title Grasslands on it, and it's telling me information. Grasslands cover about 25% of Earth's land surface. We're gonna look at all of the information that we've collected, and you're going to look at some posters, and you're gonna start writing down some facts about what you learned from the posters. Because we're gonna look at posters and we're gonna look at some photographs as well. Raise your hand if you are researching plants in the rainforest. Raise your hand if you were researching plants in the desert. Evelyn, why did you choose the desert to learn about plants? I don't think about plants in the desert. Why did you say, I want to know about that?
Because cacti are the only plants that live in the desert, because they're the only types of that's the only type that has water inside of it.
I can't wait to have you guys share that information for the rest of the class. So what does that permanently mean?
It means like permanent marker. When you draw on something with permanent marker, it's staying there forever.
It stays there forever. So what does that say about the tundra?
It's always frozen.
It's always frozen. Now let's think about that for a second. That has to be really special plants. There have to be really special plants that if the ground is permanently frozen, those plants really must have some great adaptations to help them survive, right? Because they got to push through the soil in order to get through that layer of permafrost. Keep reading. What did you notice, Addison?
That plants have adapted to the wet soil.
Oh, does it talk about how they've adapted? What did they say?
Nope, they didn't think about it.
Maybe we need to research that more. What did you notice about the plants?
That it says grasses and bushes and shrubs.
So there's all different kinds of wetlands. There's all different kinds of wetlands, like there's bogs and there's swamps and there's marshes. Now Blake, what do you notice different about the photographs here? Using the facts that you have written on your KWL chart already and some facts that you've learned, you guys get to pick what photographs are really necessary. And then what I want you to start to do, remember how we started sketching what our poster was going to look like?
Yep.
So you're going to decide what photographs should go in your poster. So for example, I have my grasslands photographs, and I noticed that one of my questions was, do flowers grow there? And in the photograph, do flowers grow in the grasslands?
Yeah.
So I think that when I'm creating my poster, this photograph is something that is really going to help my audience understand that not only do grasses live in the grasslands, but flowering plants live in the grasslands as well. Now I see this photograph, so that's going to be a hard decision. You only get to pick four of the best photographs for your poster, and then you're going to come together as a group and you're going to decide what information needs to be on our poster.
There's so many changes I've seen in instruction in regards to the unit starter. Of course, teachers are being very intentional about making sure that our standards and our enduring understandings are meeting the needs of our learners with the complex text that we have chosen. We're also looking at our question sequencing, and that's something that we did a good job with, but now having those enduring understandings at the forefront of our mind and those standards, we've been so much more intentional about the question sequence that we're building to lead up to those rigorous tasks that we've developed for our students. I love the smiles I see on their face as they hear things that they're making connections to and how they're gaining all this new knowledge. They're just excited to learn. Students are learning so much, and that excitement is showing up in many areas. So not only in building the knowledge, because they are doing that, but it's showing up in their conversations. When they turn and talk, they're engaged. They're looking at the speaker. They're asking their own questions, and that oral rehearsal is getting them set up for success. So when they pick that pencil up, they have something to say.